I'm Dan Albers, and welcome here to This Week in Anderson on the Big Guy Sports Podcast on USBN Sports. And joined as always with my guest, Steve Ellis. And Steve, we kind of had a little hiatus, just took a little bit of a break. We had to kind of regroup ourselves. And
we're back.
But yeah, we're back, and we're very excited. We're in studio again, which is awesome when we're in studio. But we'll get to our next guest here in a minute. But we've had a couple of things going on. Talk a little bit about what you've got going on.
Well, let's talk about the Bearcats, Danny. Big win against Notre Dame, right?
Yeah.
Bengals are rolling.
I tell you what, it was probably one of my better sports weekends I've ever had. I was at South Bend for the UC Notre Dame game, and I got to, the boys took care of me. I gave them all my equipment, and they FaceTimed me and showed them how to set everything up.
Did a great job.
And so they did an awesome job. John Raymond, Dale Adams, Steve Martin, and your brother Greg, and we got to watch the game at South Bend Notre Dame. We put it on the TV and we got to watch the game. So I got to catch. So Anderson beats Winton Woods for the first time since 2009.
Yeah.
The Bengals win on Thursday night.
Yes.
And then I go to the Notre Dame game and catch one of the best college experience I've ever had in my life. So I had a pretty good
good weekend. And I'll tell you, just to top it all off, Danny, and this probably goes back 3 weeks or so, was, we haven't had a chance to announce this yet on This Week in Anderson, is that about 3 weeks ago, you and my brother Greg got the notice from Frank Brandy that you guys are going into the Anderson Hall of Fame finally.
It's amazing.
It's awesome.
I was stunned. I thought you guys were punking me. You've done that to me. Yeah, he's done it to me before. So I honestly thought that we were having a punk moment, but it's just amazing. I still can't believe it. I mean, I'm still shocked, but it's just, Greg and I obviously were emotional about it. We thought about our dads, and it's just, I think if anything, that would be the only thing I wish that both of our dads could be there for it. But
no question.
Incredible, and thank you to you and Vince and everybody else that kind of spearheaded to get that thing, because it means a lot to both of us.
Well, 30 years is 30 plus years for you guys doing what you do, and everybody loves it and well deserved.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. So let's get into our next guest. And it was kind of like we had earlier in the season when we had Mark Reed on. It's one of those guys that I know growing up from my brothers and your brothers, absolutely. And everybody always talked about the Rick Becker and talked about everything that he's done. And we didn't get to see him play, but we've always heard the stories and everything that was going on. So I'm excited. Arguably, one of the best high school basketball players in Anderson High School.
Well, and as we're going to find out, multi-athlete, sport athlete, but basketball alone, I had heard the stories from all the coaches that have been around. Unfortunately, we didn't get to play for Coach Sanders, but we're going to talk about him in a little bit. But obviously, this is before the 3-point line, and I believe, and Rick will help us on this, on whether or not he led the city in scoring, which is unbelievable. And I want to talk a little bit about what his go-to was when he scored.
So joining us, as we said, is Rick Becker. Rick, thanks for joining us.
Well, my pleasure.
It's really exciting, for us, to always go back, because we hear the history. We don't, know some of the things that you've done, and just take us back to the days that you were growing up in Anderson, and then what side of the Anderson did you live on?
Well, I grew up down by what used to be the orphanage down off of Beachmont on a little street called Larry Joe Drive. Mark lived on Tallberry, so we were very close. So of course there was no Turpin or anything back then, so it was all Anderson, and just a great time. I was very fortunate to be at Anderson when we were. Just thinking about doing this podcast, and just thinking about back in those days, and just the players I had around me, the people I had around me, of course, Coach. It was just a great time. I just.
And a lot of the guys that we've talked to too, especially with Steve and I growing up, we always had that group of guys that we grew up with, that we played with all the time and grew up. And then Steve and I became closer when we got in middle school. Did you have a lot of that same thing too, growing up in your neighborhood? Yeah,
Elliot was probably my best friend for years, and of course Jack Kaninsky, and then there was another guy that didn't play, but Paul Sturgeon was. So it was the three of us for pretty much at least through high school. I don't remember a lot of back in, not unlike Jack. I won't have a lot of stories and statistics because my memory of some of those things is not that great. But it was those three. I hung around. Elliot's house was probably my second home. His parents were just awesome to me, and then Jack, I hung around his house a lot too. So great, like I said, great memories. Great friends that we still are connected with today.
That's awesome.
And just like I said, to me, I've come back. Of course, I live in the area still. So, and then my son went to Anderson and my girls, and so been back to a lot of different things. And of course, when they split the schools, that made it a little different. I understand, but I just go to some of the games now, and I'm like, gosh, when we played, that place was rock.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when we played McNick, the back doors were open. People, they
lined up.
If you took the ball out of bounds, they had to move people so you could take the ball.
Right.
I mean, and it was unbelievable. So, like I said, I was very fortunate to play when I did with the people that I was surrounded with, and in the city too. I mean, we just had a incredible couple years there in the city of Cincinnati with athletes. It just seemed like so.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And Steve, I was just getting ready to say real quick before you go on here is that I was talking to my brother Mike, and he was telling me, I told him that we were having you on. He goes, I'm telling you, between him and Reed and Elliot, he said those were the guys that got me really excited about playing basketball, and that's why one of the reasons why I wanted to play, because I wanted to be like those guys.
Yeah.
So I hear that a lot, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. You hear that all the time, and just the story. I remember going to Dick Sanders camps, and even you weren't there, but they were still talking about you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how larger than life for us.
Exactly.
That's why it's so cool to be sitting here.
It is. It really is.
Sitting here with you.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, Rick, what sports did you play? I know you played basketball
and baseball.
You played baseball too.
And and I think Mark was the one that said he liked baseball and more, and I was the exact opposite. I just love basketball. And I played. I enjoyed baseball, but it was just something when the season came around. That's what I played. But I mean, even during the season, we were just constantly playing hoops, and we just, I guess the years of, what do they call it? I can't get in trouble for it now, but we used to go down to St. Gregory's, or I did, down there, the seminary place, and they have this big gym, and of course it's pitch black down there when it's dark or whatever, and I used to sneak in that gym just at 9, 10 o'clock at night and shoot around, and then there was the other seminary up here on, it's not there anymore.
Sacred Heart.
Yeah, and you remember a guy named Fritz that coached?
Sure.
Well, Fritz somehow, I got a key to that gym.
Oh my gosh.
And Fritz didn't know about it, and he finally caught me, but I would go in there. I think back on it now, even as my age, and I'm like, I would never go in there at 10 o'clock at night.
Right. That gym was so cold.
Yeah, too. But anyway, so I love basketball. Like I said, I grew up on a small street. I used to go up to Mark's house all the time. His brother Mike was an incredible baskall player, and then me and Mark would just play one-on-one and just all kinds of things and just beat each other up. And that's really how I got better.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is, where did you go? Because back then, even back when we played, AAU wasn't necessarily around.
AAU was just starting when we were like juniors and seniors. I played some AAU, but it really wasn't.
Okay, so how did you get ahead of that?
Just like I said, we just played a lot of pickup games. There was a place in Mount Lookout. It was an outdoor facility in somebody's backyard or whatever, and we would play there all the time. Tabler was there, Connaughton, older Connaughtons, older Tabler brothers. And we would just go at it for hours or whatever. And I kid people sometimes now. I drive around like Nagel Park or Julius or whatever, and they got glass backboards and everything that we were lucky to have a rim, let alone a net somewhere.
Or a net,
and now I look and there's nobody out there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what I would have done for a full court, glass backboard courts or whatever. But we just shot around wherever. Like I said, a good friend of mine that lived on Larry Joe with me, Paul Farwick, he went to McNick, but he was a great friend or whatever, and he had a hoop down, and him and his neighbor, their driveways were actually real close together, so they cemented the middle part of it and had a basketball court. I can remember in the winter, I'd go down and shovel snow off of that just to shoot around.
Wow,
So
that's crazy.
I just, like I said, I loved basketball. Pete Maravich was kind of my idol back then, and I used to read stories where he would, everywhere he went, he had a basketball in his hand, and so I just kind of adopted that type of mentality, and I just, wherever I was kind of going, just had a basketball, and if I could find a place to shoot for a while, then that's what I did. So.
Yeah. So you hear that, all the kids out there, it's not about sitting there playing video games and learning that way. It's actually going out and, playing. And Steve, feeding off that, we did that. Yeah. I mean, I remember going over to Gary Geiss's house and playing, we get as many guys as we could, and we'd just battle out there in the yard. I mean, we'd beat the crap out of each other.
And we thought it was the greatest thing because they had a spotlight, so now we're playing into the night.
Right.
I know the neighbors didn't like it, because not only that, but a few cuss words and but I mean, it's just like you said, that was what we did too back in the day. We found places to play basketball.
Yeah,
no, it's so cool. All right, so I asked this question to Jack and to Mark, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. So when you were a senior, it was still one full school, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we were the last class, I think, that didn't have any Turpin affiliation.
Okay, so everybody was there then.
Yeah, so when we went, my junior and senior year, we went like at 6:30 or some crazy time in the morning and got off at like 1, and then all the freshmen and sophomores would come at like 10:30 and they would go to 4. And so that kind of messed things up a little bit with sports, because we had sophomores playing, so we couldn't practice right after. I mean, so you had to go home, and it was, I mean, it worked. But so it was, like I said, I think we started out with like 840 some people in our senior class. I think we ended up graduating like 798 or something. So
is that
it was huge. It was huge, and but there again, it just made it, like I said, it was just incredible. Those games were just electric. And I just remember Tom Carnes and all those guys, Raymond and Chris Anderson and John Smith and all those guys. I mean, they dress up and as soon as during warm-ups, I mean, they were up yelling, and they didn't sit down the whole games, and it was just fun to play.
Did they have pep rallies back then?
Yeah.
See, they don't have that too much anymore.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of them, but the McNick game, we would have a lot of preliminary kind of stuff.
We had quite a bit. We had the Turpin and McNick game. Usually is typically what it was, or a homecoming or something like that.
We didn't have like weekly ones.
It just seemed like
it was more
in
of
the
a big
early
deal.
80s. It was bigger, more things going on of that nature. So when you were, I was trying to think. So where you lived, you would have gone to Turpin.
I would have probably gone to Turpin. Yeah.
See, that's another one.
It's just amazing. I mean, you think about that, and then you think about the schools, and then you think about the great athletes at Turpin and the great athletes at Anderson, and if they were one school, I still think they would. Dominate just about every sport, I would think. I mean, they were just great athletes.
But was there already the talk when you were in high school about that there was going to be a split?
Really, if there was, I wasn't involved. I mean, I was pretty self-focused. I guess you could call it self-consumed on basketball. And like I said, baseball was a kind of a side subject. And, in retrospect, I probably should have flipped those two as far as my priorities if I wanted to pursue things. But it all worked out. Life's good. And like I said, it was, but I don't know. I can't remember a lot of talk about, Turpin or whatever. Like I said, everything was centered around McNick. It was just we focused on McNick. And here again, because of our relationships during the summer, me and Pat, we played a lot against each other or whatever. So it was pretty serious stuff.
I would love to see those films back in the day.
I would like to go back and see some of them.
But think about some of the guys how great Rick was, but also he had guys around. He played against Tabler, and then he had guys alongside of him that played, not just major college basketball or baseball, but
oh yeah.
Also,
just in basketball, you had Louis Orr, who went and played pro ball. Pat could have played any. I mean, he signed with Virginia Tech, but then was drafted, so he could have played anywhere. Greg Johnson, a lot of people don't even remember that. He played at UC.
Okay.
Greg Johnson was probably the best player in Cincinnati.
Is that right?
Senior year. I mean, this guy.
And
like
was he
at Laughlin? And so it's single A. So here again, he didn't get a lot of, I guess the pub of Cincinnati Enquirer or whatever back then.
Okay.
But, I mean, I remember going because the single A tournament was held at Anderson.
Right.
So we'd go up there and watch. And I mean, I kid you not, just anything after. over a half court, that guy could put. I mean, he was incredible. Wow, he was the best shooter I've ever seen.
Wow,
yeah,
that's crazy. We had as we said, we're in awe just being here with you, and then some of these other guys we heard about. But we were like a little kid in a candy store for us interviewing Dick Sanders because we got to see Frank Brandy and all those guys playing, and that's when they were at their height. We were 8th graders going into our freshman year right around that time, and Sanders just left right when we became freshmen, I believe, right?
Correct.
So it was kind of cool for us, and I was in awe just talking to him. So you got to play for him. What was that like playing for Coach Sanders?
Incredible, because here again, looking back now and seeing what went on, you look at our team, especially you look at my junior year, we had four of the 5 starters went and played Division I basketball. I mean, that's not incredible. That's like DeMatha High School.
Yeah, that's just, exactly right.
And yet we couldn't win a tournament game to save our life. But Dick could have coached us differently, I think, and he could have made us a, quote, better team. But the thing I appreciated about him is he looked after us. He knew that we had some abilities, and he knew that he could help us get noticed and pursue college and things like that. So, I mean, here again, you had mentioned no three-point line. I think we averaged 88 points a game.
How about that?
That's crazy.
Without a three-point, and that's pretty much where I shot from. So, I mean, we would have probably easily averaged 100 points a game my senior year. Just like I said, it was run and gun, and he coached us that way. And of course, I'm sure he took a lot of heat behind the scenes that I wasn't aware of back then. maybe not. Maybe back then it wasn't as it is today with parents and different things. But we didn't play a lot of defense. That was obvious, and we practiced some on defense, but it was really all about just get the ball up. We didn't have a lot of plays. It was just he knew he had athletes that just created stuff, and it was just like summer ball on the court.
And you look at us now in the age we are now, but I mean, Coach, he was probably only in his mid-30s.
Very young,
if that,
and very, very competitive. He knew how to pull your strings. Like I said, he's a great guy. He talked to me, got me out of a lot of different subjects in school and different things, just talking to me about, life and things like that. Yeah. But you didn't want to cross him either during practice and stuff like that. Yeah. He could just really, I mean, because
I heard he played too.
Oh, you didn't want to ever get into a shooting match with him. When people talk about me or Reed or somebody, shooting, nothing compares to this.
Really? Is that right?
He could literally just string out 3-pointers and just not.
That's crazy.
It's just like goofing around, like he'd be like smoking his.
That's right.
Shooting around
with a towel over his shoulder.
And then if you got into like we play 3-on-3 sometimes, and he'd jump in. I mean, and he would he could scrap it up but like I said, I remember Kevin Galbraith was a year ahead of us and probably the best player I've ever seen play.
Really?
Yeah, Kevin was just all around, just great rebounder. I think he averaged like 18 rebounds his senior year and could shoot. And I mean, just don't mix it. I mean, you don't want to get underneath with him. He was just really great guy, great athlete. But Dick didn't give him any. I remember watching. I was a sophomore and Kevin was a junior, and we were practicing doing something, and he did something, and Dick threw his whistle and kicked the ball down the field, down the court, and he's like, Galbraith, if you'd quit reading the newspapers and just pay attention to what you're supposed to do. This guy's the best guy in the city. So that was a quick lesson learned in my sophomore year. You better come to practice ready to go and stuff. So anyway, Dick was just like I said. I haven't had a lot of contact with him lately, and I wish I would. I saw him at his thing that they did. Couple years ago. It's great to see him, and every once in a while we'll touch base. But just like I said, I couldn't have asked for just who I had to coach me, and Jim Neiman in baseball was the same way. Just looked after me, looked after the kids.
I got a question about baseball in a second here, but I'm going to go back to basketball for a second. So tell us a little bit about some of your stats. Did you play your freshman year?
I did not. I did played freshman ball. Well, let's back up a little bit, because the interesting thing is I made the 7th grade team, but didn't play much. Got cut the 8th grade.
Really?
Got cut.
Really?
Rick Elliott, my best friend, breaks his hand, so they bring me back. And that started the whole.
You're kidding me.
How about that? Whole thing on. So freshman year is when I really kind of, I guess, blossomed a little bit, and they talked about bringing me up my freshman year, but I think they decided, hey, let's just let him.
That's amazing.
Okay.
And so, but came out, played, started. I didn't start my first game sophomore year. Came in middle of the game or whatever, and started ever since. We were terrible in my sophomore year. We were like 2-16.
Okay.
But here again, great learning experience. Yep. And we had, great guys and stuff. But then my junior year, like I said, that was probably our best year as far as what we could have been. We had Elliott, Reed, me, Kevin, and I forget who played center. But like I said, we just Kevin, and then Elliott. I mean, here again, to me, back then we were best friends, and he was probably a little timid of the spotlight, but in reality, Rick Elliott was the best player on our team. It's
pretty humble for him to say
this.
Absolutely.
No, I mean, seriously, if you would watch him play in the summer, he would just literally he would dominate he would just literally dominate anybody he played, because he was the one guy that could play defense. He got these big old long arms, and of course we couldn't dunk back then, but he could jump like crazy. And but he just, here again, he knew that all the attention seemed to be being pushed my way, and he just didn't buck the system. But
how close were you to 1,000? Did you get over it?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
I was just trying to think about what you averaged.
We played about 23, 24 games, and averaged probably 20 points the last 2 years. I don't know probably 10 my sophomore year. So, probably right at 1,000 maybe. Okay,
because I'm trying to think where you would stand.
Averaged, John says you got 3rd in the city in scoring your senior year, 23.4 average.
Oh.
109 field goals, 63 free throws, 172 total. So Johnny gave me, he averaged 11.9 rebounds per game.
Strong. Double.
And then he was picked for the East on the East-West All-Star Series. Top scorer with long shots before there were 3 points. So he's got, there's a lot on here. And then his junior year, I think he averaged 19.7.
Okay, because you had almost 500 points your senior year.
Yeah.
So
if we could have played a few more playoff games, we might have helped a little bit.
Well, my point is that you've got to be up there.
In the league leaders. I mean,
in the school league.
Absolutely, he does. And the other thing, feeding off of that, like he was mentioning some of the, the guys, talk about that. You had some guys that you played with that we brought up earlier was Mark Reed, Rick Elliott, and Rich Dotson. Didn't Rich Dotson play? Talk about playing with those guys and what that was like.
Like I said, it was incredible, and I was very fortunate. And here again, I as you can look back now and say, I was probably the 3rd or 4th best player on that team.
That's unbelievable.
Didn't Jeff Campbell play too?
I mean, Jeff Campbell played, and Timmy Campbell, and we just had.
Oh, Timmy Campbell, that's what I meant.
Timmy, but Jeff played too. I think he was a sophomore my senior year.
Okay.
And a little scrappy guy, but like I said, Mark was one of the best players. Just left-handed guy, but he could shoot, he could drive, he was just an all-around player.
Yeah.
Rich was just, I mean, a lot of people don't realize, because obviously he was so good in baseball, but Rich was probably the best. Him and Pat Tab were the best 2 athletes I ever saw.
Yeah, really.
And that's in college too. I mean, Rich, we're down on the football field on a Saturday getting ready to probably do some conditioning or whatever, and football team's out there fiddling around or whatever. Rich picks up this ball, hasn't warmed up anything. I'm kid you not, threw it 50 yards without even.
Wow.
I'm sure
he didn't play.
He would have been an all-state football player if he wanted to play football. Same with Pat. Pat was just incredible athletes. But Richard was a great basketball player and just a real competitor. That's why he's so good in baseball. But wasn't maybe a skill set as some of us. But man, you didn't want to mix it up with Rich. So like I said, we had just some great athletes that could just ball and then Mark Lennon was our center my senior year, and just did a great job guarding the other guy's center or whatever. So we had all the pieces there to really. I mean, here again, when you think about the athletes we had, we should have made a bigger dent in the tournament. Well, Moeller, we always played Moeller for some reason, and they always beat us.
Well, yeah, that's a different level. So let me ask you this. Because Danny and I went through this, and obviously you guys went through it too, is not to sound jealous of today's era, your son going through Anderson and stuff, but think about if your group, how athletic they were, if you guys had the weight room that Anderson has now, had the facilities and the things at their fingertips, how much of a difference that might have made for you guys.
Could have been. Lifting back then was a no-no. A no-no. Absolutely. And in baseball too, it was like you don't want to lift and get bulky and stuff like that. So it would have probably made a big difference. I don't know that I would have. Here again, I still avoid weights.
That's right. That's right.
But they do have. I actually, it's kind of ironic because the church I go to just started a satellite church at Anderson.
Really?
So we meet there in the auditorium, and which I think is kind of cool.
That is.
But then I noticed now they got an auxiliary gym there now, which would have really been probably of anything because we would have to practice like on half the floor half the time because I said the school was split, so we couldn't start practices till everybody got out, and then you got the freshmen, you had the girls and everything, so that would have probably, of anything, that would have helped.
Maybe you could have got the keys to that.
I could have got the keys to that because here again, another story is when we would have games, I would put cardboard in the back door of that gym building.
He's saying
I could sneak in there, especially on Saturdays when we had a Saturday night game, and shoot around. I mean, I love to play basketball.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's move on to baseball because you played for what Danny and I consider a legendary coach, and the same thing. I know it sounds like a deja vu here, but we unfortunately didn't get a chance to play for him. He was already done coaching. He was still a gym teacher when we were there, but we've heard lots of stories and just the mindset of what Jim Neiman had as a baseball guy, I guess you want to say. What was that like playing baseball at Anderson and playing for him?
It was really incredible here again because of just the people I had around me too. But once again, baseball was on the side of my radar. So I remember Coach Neiman. I remember sitting down with him my senior year when I told him I wasn't going to, play baseball. I was going to, travel around and find out where I was going to go play basketball and stuff like that. And he was supportive, and yet I wish now, looking back, like I said, I wish he would have maybe pushed a little harder and said, well, we can try to work this out with your schedule or something. You're a pitcher, so you don't have to be there, whatever. But anyway, here again, just a great guy. Loved the kids he was coaching. It was, just something that all these coaches. I tell Frank all the time now. I'm like, you guys are unbelievable. I wouldn't do it for what you deal with and stuff, with the money. But obviously Jack was the same way. He loves kids. Loves to watch them develop. And and Coach Neiman, like I said, just developed some great players. And I think Rich was probably a benefactor of Coach Neiman's abilities and coaching. But here again, I had Jack and Dotson and Timmy Campbell. Timmy Campbell hit some of the farthest balls I've ever. I mean, everybody talks about Rich, which they should, but Timmy Campbell, man, when he. Jack tells about it, and I remember one of them. I don't remember all of them, but I remember the one Timmy Campbell hit off the telephole pole. And
really? My gosh,
crazy how good he was.
Well, it's some of his. I mean,
and Mark was a great pitcher.
Mark Reed was a pitcher. Didn't Nicky Tarpoff?
Steve Smith, Ott, and like I said, and we were much better in baseball. We made a little dent in some of the postseason stuff baseball wise, but still didn't probably do what we should have. But there again, just
I'm trying to get Johnny's thing here, how he's got it all written up. But baseball, if this was his side sport and wasn't taking it very serious, that's pretty dang scary.
Well,
I mean, some of these things I'm seeing on here with his ERA under 1. I mean,
that's why they.
He's got 8.
Well, that's why we're going to talk about college here in a minute.
A lot of people, look back on it and ask me what I was thinking. But here again, I just have to be honest and say I loved basketball until I got to college, and then I quickly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I quickly, as Mark said, I was very thankful that I didn't pursue any of the bigger schools. That I went to Southern Miss to play basketball, and as Mark said, he wasn't good enough to play at Richmond. I wasn't good enough to play at Southern Miss, so I'm sure glad I didn't let my ego decide on a bigger school that maybe were offering some things. But baseball then became a little more of a priority because quickly my eyes were open that you're not going any farther in basketball here. So.
Well, let's talk about in the mid-'70s what the recruiting, how all that worked and what you had to do, because today there's film, there's internet, everything like that. What was all involved in recruiting in both sides? Because obviously Danny's talking about the stats in baseball, so you might have had the options of either way.
Didn't really have any options baseball-wise from colleges, because here again, everybody, once I made that decision and my senior year not to play.
Oh, okay.
And so there was kind of a brand put on me from what I gather from people inside of was that he doesn't want to play. Doesn't care about baseball. So nobody was going to the pros basically saying, we're not going to waste a draft pick on you if you're not going to play baseball. See, it would be nice to live in today's day where you can do both. And
absolutely.
But anyway, so there was really no college response through high school. It changed once I got into college. Some people came recruiting, but Dick handled most of it.
Okay.
And he kind of filtered things. And here again, there was no tape that I'm aware of. I don't think he sent any tape. I don't even know how much tape we had of our game.
You guys filmed the games?
I think they did on the reel-to-reel.
I remember there was a guy, I can't remember his name. He was head of audiovisual animation.
Yes, I did.
And he put the camera on a wooden rifle.
Yeah.
And you filmed from up top.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don somebody.
We did have. We didn't watch them. Not that I remember. Here again, others may, but I don't remember watching film. But we did my senior year. There was a local TV station that had started up or whatever that did like a Friday night game of the week.
Oh, really?
And we did play Oak Hills on that. And
nice.
So we went to Dotson's house, I think, after that game and watched that. But really didn't watch a lot of film of ourselves or and here again. So as far as recruiting, as far as I know, I never sent anything out. I don't think Dick sent anything out or whatever. It was just mainly word of mouth, and they did it differently. And here again, part of what I think benefited me was because the city was so full of talent that year that people were there and they could watch a lot. They could catch McNick or come watch, catch McNick against us or whatever, and see 4 or 5 of the people that had a potential to play college basketball.
So how did you get to Southern Miss?
So here again, through different letters and different things. And so my senior year, some people started to visit. Obviously, coaches would come into practice or whatever. And so I narrowed it down. I can't even remember where all I went, to be honest with you. I went to Southern Miss. And just fell in love with the South down there and the coach. And to be honest with you, I guess they probably did the best wining and dining.
Sure,
if you can say that. They took me out to an incredible steakhouse, and they knew
this will work.
They knew food was a way to get to me, and still is. And it just seemed right. I wanted to get away from home, although in retrospect, here again, I was pretty homesick my freshman year, and I think that kind of affected some of the things or whatever. And but it was a good year, and learned a lot. But like I said, I quickly realized probably the first 2 weeks into practice that, all right, it doesn't revolve around you anymore.
That's right.
Didn't play much at all and got hurt a little bit, and so that was where I decided, okay, I think it's time to make a switch to baseball and see what I can still salvage out of baseball.
All right, so you didn't play your senior year of baseball.
Did not play in senior year.
All right, so then where did you go?
Still played summer ball, played for Midland.
Okay.
And so then, like I said, we went down to Southern Miss. day after basketball was over, I met with the athletic director, and I said, I'm not coming back here to play basketball. I am interested in baseball. And they said, oh, yeah. And I forget the whole ordeal, but basically they said, okay, we'll hook you up with the baseball coach. We're not going to give you, we have no scholarships for baseball at Southern Miss. I said, that's fine. Let's just see what happens or whatever. Of course, my scholarship for that year was set already anyway. So so I met with the baseball coach, and he said, well, let's have you out tomorrow or whatever, and let's see what you got. And so I went out and literally warmed up for probably 5 minutes. Hadn't thrown a baseball in who knows when, and but impressed him enough to say, okay, we'll put you on the team or whatever, and had a pretty good year. And through that, there was some connections. The South Alabama coach, Stanky was his name. I can't remember his first name, but he was a scout for somebody, and he tried to recruit me to South Alabama. And I said, I really don't want to sit out a year and things like that. So long story short, I went up to junior college, Cumberland Junior College, right outside of Nashville. And played a year there, played actually basketball and baseball. They let me play both. Got a scholarship for the junior college and played baseball. And then that's where I started to get, I guess, recruited a little bit more. Western Kentucky was the one that came down, and that was just about 50 minutes up the road. And my older brother was living in Nashville at the time, so it just kind of all fit for me to hang around there.
That's
and so
awesome.
I went to Western Kentucky and played 2 years. And
that's great.
And
how about that?
That's incredible.
Yeah. So like I said, it was
played
got
two sports,
college,
Division I.
Got college. And that's really what all I was there to play sports. And, but my mom had a big dream of all her kids going to college, so I was able to go to college.
That's great.
And get through it without having them to put any money into it.
That's incredible. That's a great story.
Yeah,
it's a great story.
So, but here again, I had great parents, great family, but not really a sports family. And so even within them, my parents, they got caught up with all the basketball hype too, and all that.
It's easy.
And so no one really, if I had any one regret, I guess, through all those years or whatever, some mentor would have just come along and said, look, kid, you're a great little high school white player, but your college days are probably not going to be that much, but you've got some skills that maybe can take you further in baseball.
I think I was that same way, but I couldn't hit a curveball. I loved basketball.
I couldn't hit,
but I was better at baseball, but then I just couldn't hit a curveball, so that was it.
But but it was, like I said, just incredible. And I did. I knew I had some talent baseball wise, and we used to, like I said, the two Midlands, our team would go up against Dotson's, and I beat Dotson twice in summer ball and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
And
I'm sure he'll hear this. He'll watch it.
But he still knows. He's still got the ultimate bragging rights. He made it, and couldn't have been a better person too. Rich is a great guy.
Hey, real quick, John did send something to us about. Did you have a tryout with the Reds, or got invited for a tryout?
I had a tryout with the Reds. Went down to the old riverfront and tried out, and their scouts were there for quite a while. And you remember a guy named Jim Borio? It was
Sounds familiar.
Swim coach at Anderson.
Okay.
Well, this is a story that has come back to me over the years.
Okay.
It doesn't totally make sense because he was a swim coach, but supposedly he was a scout for the Phillies at the same time. And that's where the word came back. He said, you were at the top of a lot of people, and as soon as you decided not to play baseball, you were brought.
Wow. No kidding.
Everybody said, we're not going to take a flyer on the kid if he's not.
Because he's not going to.
No kidding.
But anyway, so no regrets.
Well, think about that. 1975, he could have been on the Reds championship.
Yeah, that was 76. I graduated, so I don't think that
signed early like Joe Nuxall.
I would have made it up that quickly, but yeah. So I had a couple other tryout different things, and
that's awesome.
Well, Rick, get us caught up. You brought up your mom, and over the years, and there's been a lot of people that's going to watch this. So give us caught up on your family, your siblings, and I want everybody to know what you've been doing.
Okay.
As an occupation, but what you're doing now. So I just asked you 8 questions.
All right, no problem. I'll try to remember most of them. Both my parents are deceased. My older brother lives in Denver.
Okay.
And my sister lives around Anderson somewhere.
Okay.
And she taught at Nagel for quite a while.
Is that right?
Sherry Birdseye. She taught different classes there. So I'm married, 37 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
To an Anderson graduate. Debbie Corrigan was her name back then, and I got 5 kids. My son, one of them, in the Marines now, and then I got 4 daughters. All played basketball at Anderson, all played for Raymond and stuff. So we kept that connection.
Yes.
6 grandkids. So that's my world now. Yeah. And I own Cincinnati Sand Volleyball down in Milford.
Do you really? Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yep. So with one of my daughters, and this will be mine and my wife's last year, we're going to back out of it, and they're going to take over. And they run it basically now anyway. Yeah. So travel probably a little bit now, and get more involved with the church, like I mentioned, and.
What got you back here? Because you were gone for a while.
No,
right?
I stayed.
You were here.
Yeah, no, like I said, I went to Western, and then came back, started working for Cincinnati Financial Insurance Company.
Okay.
And got married, and I did move away to Oklahoma for a couple of years to go to Bible school. But came back, started a church here in Northern Kentucky. Actually, still church, still going, but we don't pastor it anymore. And like I said,
that's great.
Fiddle around in the stock market some, and looking forward to. So I'm going to go out and play golf with Jack and Kevin Keefe in November.
Are you really?
Kevin
That's
are
great.
Flying out. Matter of fact, me and Kevin are going to go golfing tomorrow. But
that's awesome.
So I'm excited starting to reconnect with them. Going to a couple of the coaches' lunches and stuff, and because that's what
awesome.
That's what I miss. I miss I just disconnected, not purposely, but just life got busy and kids and everything. And,
it's the truth.
And besides Raymond and Steve Smith or whatever, didn't really see a lot of people. Of course, Elliot lives out of town, so I don't. And so we're just hopefully reconnecting with each other again. And like I said, I look back now as you mature a little bit and you realize how good of friends I had. And
there it is.
And I don't have that many to this day, but I look back at these guys, and then like I said, I look back at, I don't know that he totally knew that at the time, but I look back now and say he was an incredible friend, because he could have easily made a few adjustments in his game and been the one that was in the papers all the time, but he just stepped back and ran the offense and did what his part was, and it's hard to find people like that.
You got that right. Yep.
So let's get into something we talked about that you sent us a text message about, and it was about Coach Sanders.
Yeah.
He has a grandson, Finnegan, who has a defect, a challenging birth defect, and Coach is going to shoot free throws for 24 straight hours in November.
Holy.
To raise money and awareness for parents of children born with defects. He's asking for either donations or someone else to do that. But talk a little bit about that, a little bit if you can for us. Give us a little bit more detail or anything else you might know.
I really still waiting on any more details. I know Rick Elliott's going to do an hour, same type of thing. So I guess at this point, if people are watching this, they can get a hold of me, or we can leave contact information, get a hold of you guys, however this goes out, and then as time goes on, we'll get more information. But it sounds like a great call. I could not imagine shooting for 24 hours.
No way.
I said, I'm sure he still got it, and
you know what?
People would be. Hopefully, they filmed some of it, because people would be. So here again. At times, especially when he would walk into practice or whatever, and he looked like he, just got out of bed.
Right.
And you think this guy ain't an athlete. But
he could light it up.
He could definitely.
I can't imagine shooting for 24 hours when I couldn't even getting up there and shooting.
I shot.
I told Rick, I said, well, I don't even know if I don't think I could make layups for an hour, shooting free throws or whatever. But
that's really cool that he's doing something like that.
And that's a great cause, and just here again, kind of guy he is. Obviously, it's part of the family, but that's the kind of guy. I
know the love for him. Hearing it from you, hearing it from Frank Brandy and Joe Dayton and all the guys that he's coached, that he's influenced. So I'm sure a lot of guys that maybe watch this will maybe take. It would be really cool if it was kind of an Anderson thing too, to represent Anderson High School, that we can do some kind of a thing at the school. You have the keys to just about every place in Anderson. So
I can't find any of those keys anymore. But Fritz took that one key back.
That's funny.
But anyway, that would be great. I don't know if Frank could organize something.
We could,
get the gym to where we could gather up some people or whatever, but that'd be cool.
So what do you, I mean, we always bring this up, Steve and I have a special connection because, like we said, kind of like you grew up with these guys. Steve and I grew up and we're still here.
Yeah.
Still do a lot of things for Anderson. Talk a little bit maybe why, I think you might have already hit everything of why you think Anderson's such a special place and special community that kind of brings everybody back.
Well, it's. I guess the word family is sometimes overrated, but to me, it's important. And this is just great community. I tell people all the time, like even when Jack moved to Phoenix, and I get it. I'm the same way. I hate winter every winter more and more.
Right.
But I just couldn't imagine not being here during like the holidays and stuff, and just the community,
right.
and just it hasn't changed a lot, and yet it has, in that sense. But just seeing people again, here again, I was just at Kroger down at Anderson. I don't get over there much, but on a Sunday a couple weeks ago, ran in about 4 people. It's just it's where my kids were raised, and we have all those memories and stuff like that. And I guess that's part of my personality too. I'm not I don't experiment well. I just I go to about the same 2 or 3 restaurants.
Yeah.
My kids meet all the time. You order the exact same thing. It's
my wife says I live in this little bubble.
We all do.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
To some degree, and like I said, we'll start traveling some more, and I'll venture out a little bit.
There you go.
I got these grandbabies, and so
that's awesome.
And when Jack moved, I said, I'll come visit you. I'm glad that you went to a nice place to visit.
That's right.
But I'll deal with it because it's like when he got out there, it was like 118. I'm like,
man,
I'm like, dude, I hate cold, but I hate hot even more than cold. That is just steaming.
That is crazy.
But so anyway, I like Anderson, and who knows, my grandkids will see where they end up.
Yeah,
whatever. But,
generations.
But it's just a great community, and we don't live in quote Anderson anymore, but I'm constantly over here. Like I said, the church is there, and just
that's awesome.
A great area.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Now we're going to put you on the spot here. We try to close this out with your favorite high school memory, your favorite college memory, and then maybe what a favorite teacher or coach that you had in high school.
Well, Coach Sander would be for sure my favorite coach. Just incredible. So that's all I can tell. It's hard to put words to what he meant to me through those years, and how he helped me become the player at least I was, and person too, I believe. Teacher, she wasn't a teacher, but Mrs. White was my counselor.
Okay.
And she took me under her wing or whatever, because here again, I wasn't a bad kid or whatever, but like I said, I'd get talking to Sander in the hall or something like that, and it'd be 10 minutes past class. So I'd run to her and I said, Miss White, I need a pass to get into math or whatever. And so I had some great teachers. We good teachers or whatever. Favorite high school memory?
There's probably so many.
Well, it's not just a memory, but probably the McNick games.
Scored 32 that game.
Yeah, that was there. But but the ones at home were even, like I said, it was just so electric. The band playing, those guys were just, our fans were just, and
isn't that just the coolest?
It is, and like I said, it's a cool. It rivaled. I didn't play in any like Notre Dame's or any of the quote Duke or any of the big basketball arenas per se where these rivalries go. But I played college basketball with 12 and 15,000 people in the stands. Of course, I wasn't playing as much or whatever, so it's different obviously from that realm. But nothing compares to that. Like I said, I go to a lot of not a lot of, but been to some high school games, and it's like somebody do something. I mean, it's like quiet or whatever, and it's just so that those memories, and just like I said, the camaraderie of just those games I can still picture, going against Tabor in those summer leagues and down there and just the whole everything that revolved around basketball back then was just an incredible great memory.
Where was the go-to place after games?
La Rosa's.
Really?
Yeah.
The old gray building that was close
Elliot. He loved it. Every time he comes in, that's where we meet typically. La Rosa's and Skyline. But La Rosa's right there on Beachmont was where we would go after games, or we would go to his house. We'd grab McDonald's or whatever and just head over to his house and play cards or whatever. But yeah, La Rosa's was definitely the hangout after games. And as far as college, not really a lot of standout moments. Like I said, college was a lot of transition, so I really didn't have a lot of memories from college. It was I guess, in one sense, kind of the ending of my athletic career. So it kind of forced me into, okay, what are you going to do now with your life?
But not many people can say they played Division I, 2 sports.
Right.
It's pretty strong.
Like I said, it was. I was very fortunate.
Well, I just real quick before we sign off. So he's talking about those memories. So and it just made me think about Steve, and maybe this was the same way it was with you. I remember being down in the locker rooms, and I could hear, because we're down in the locker room, and you could hear the crowd getting excited, the crowd getting louder and louder, and we're down there and we're just ready to bust out. It seems then we come running up the stairs, and we're and then you walk in the gym and it's like
flying high,
and those bleachers were the wooden bleachers and they were shaking.
Yeah, the whole gym was
and like
moving.
You said, people were sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, if they had the fire code back then, it probably was done. But then the other one playing in McNick. Being in that locker room and coming down those stairs.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with you.
It was hot there. Oh man, we would condition the week before McNick at McNick in the swimming pool. I mean, we would run those steps.
Really?
Dick would have us running in there because it was literally like
that was
McNick's
what it's
gym.
gonna be like.
It was like it's just this
big sauna.
Oppressive sauna, and oh my gosh, that was like a little box. But
I wonder if they had the same cheer that we used to always hear, that ROCKETS. Oh, it used to drive me nuts.
But yeah, you're right. It was especially coming up, like you said, those steps, and it was wall to wall people trying to get in the gym to warm up.
It was just incredible.
Like I said, it was, and kids don't understand what we're talking about now. But
it was
and like I said, we were fun to watch. We weren't super. I mean, we didn't dominate, but we would win 15, 16 games, and when we come home,
88 points a game.
You knew, like I said, you were gonna see some hoop when we came onto the floor. But
so how many points? So what did you average your senior year? 24, 25, Danny?
25.
Something like that. So what do you think you would have averaged if you had the 3-point line?
Probably 30.
I love it.
At least 7 shots. I love the corners. Kind of
like Tim Ferguson was the same way back then.
Fergie. I coached Fergie in some summer balls and stuff.
He would have went nuts too.
He would have,
because he loved those corners.
At least 4 or 5 points more.
Fergie had a sweet shot.
Smooth.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, some great basketball players, and it's an honor for us to interview you and have you here, and it means a lot to us. And like I said, my brother, who I don't know if you know Mike Albers, he was one that said, just watching you guys, and we heard that all the time. So I know a lot of people out there watching this. I know my brother said he's excited, wants to know when this is coming on, to hear the stories. And I'm sure we really do get a lot of feedback off these when we bring like yourself and Mark and Dotson, and everybody just loves it. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know he was there. I didn't know he's doing this, and so it's great that you took the time to do this.
Appreciate it.
I think it's awesome what you guys are doing, and like I said, I didn't know about it until Jack told me, and so I went back and watched some of the other ones. I watched Rich's, and Rich don't age. That ain't right. He was always a pretty boy anyway. Those are, like I said, great memories, and hope to catch up with some of those guys maybe.
Well, maybe we can get this challenge started. Yeah. Maybe we can get something rolling. We can make it an Anderson event.
That'd be awesome.
There you go. Do it either in that auxiliary gym or something, and just make it more of a
that'd be great.
Type thing. So we'll try to check into that. So
okay.
But we appreciate again, Rick and Steve. Just pretty awesome to have Rick here with us, and
another living legend.
I tell you, it's really cool, and now hopefully we'll get a couple more people to join us here. And I know one that's well overdue that's going to be joining us here is my brother Timmy. Yeah. Finally got my brother Timmy to agree to do this. He's been kind of been afraid to do it. I don't know why, but we're going to get him. We've got a couple other people lined up for. So looking forward to getting everything back and going.
Awesome. Yep. You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you. So we're going to wrap it up here for Steve Ellis, Dan Albers, and Rick Becker. You've been watching This Week in Anderson. Have a great night, everybody.